It was a cold, windy day on the Skarloey Railway. Fall was in full blast. Sweaters were quickly becoming a common sight. At night, a thick fog would roll in, covering the hills with poor visibility. The engines didn't like the fog at night. It created a very spooky atmosphere. One night, it was particularly bad in the hills. Mr. Percival thought it too dangerous for trains to run. The engines were all stuck in their sheds. "I've been through fog worse than this. There's no need to close the railway."
Fog during the day is very different from fog at night. Even with a headlamp, it's dangerous to go down the line when you can't see 2 feet in front of you.
"Well, we can't just sit here and do nothing."
How about a story?
Why, yes, I am very familiar with a lot of stories from Shakespeare or Edgar Allan Poe.
I meant a scary story. You know, like a ghost story.
Like when I saw Proteus.
No, that's not scary. We need one that has lots of blood.
That won't scare one. That'll make us sick.
Well, I don't really have any good scary stories.
Neither do I.
I've got one. The engines all glared at Duncan.
You? Is it that stupid old incident at the old Iron Bridge?
No, it's something completely different. Since when have you heard a decent ghost story?
Exactly. You'd probably get scared of it yourself.
Oh, do be quiet. I would actually like to hear it, just to see how it is. Let's just listen, shall we?
Very well, then. Let's see how long we can get through it without falling asleep.
Quiet! As no one else can find a good story, I guess you can better take it away, Duncan.
Right. Long ago, there was an engine. I don't know what his name was or what he looked like, but there was something different about him. They say he never smiled and always had a haunting look on his face. He worked at the slate quarries because they say his behavior was too dangerous for passengers. Who is this engine? I told you, I don't know what his name is, nor what he looked like. But what I do know is that his eyes were a glowing red. They say this engine was disturbingly unusual. He would purposely push trucks over a cliff and run over animals that strayed onto the line. The manager was very distraught by his actions and decided to put him in the shed, never to be let out again. No one knows exactly what caused it, but there was a fire in the shed. The fire crew were called, but it was too late. The shed and the engine were already engulfed. In the flames, they couldn't see him anymore. But what they did see were 2 blazing, angry eyes. The engine burnt to the ground. His boiler was melted. But whether he survived or not is debatable. Oh yes, he was destroyed, but only his physical state. There are some who say this engine's spirit endured. And this spirit was not friendly like Casper. Oh no. Years passed and things were normal. Until one night, 2 workmen claimed to have seen 2 strange luminescent almond-shaped objects in the distance. It was assumed that they were just fireflies, but the driver of that engine decided to investigate. He did, and when he came back, he was petrified with fear. He claimed the 2 objects were huge, fiery eyes, just like those on the engine. No one believed him, so he took some people with him to have another look. And that, my friends, is the end of the story. They were never seen again. Over the years, There have been several similar cases where people have seen two flaming eyes by a railway, but not all of them lived to tell the tale. Rumour has it that a little engine was crossing an old iron bridge when he suddenly saw the eyes in the mist below, and then was suddenly swept off the bridge and plunged into the swamps below. When the workmen searched in the water, they could not find him. He was never found again. So just remember, wherever you are, someone is always watching you. The other engines were as still as ice. They gazed at Duncan, silent and shivering.
That was actually quite a scary ghost story.
Indeed, quite unexpected.
Wait, you got that engine who fell off the bridge from me?
So it's a fake story.
It's a ghost story. It could be true or false. You decide. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to sleep. And he did, and very easily. The other engines didn't. They were curious and scared from the story, especially Bertram, who rarely changed his smile. The next day, the fog wasn't as bad, and the trains ran like normal. The engines all worked hard, but they all kept thinking about Duncan's story.
What's that? Who's there?
But it was only a light tower.
There's no evil eyes. They don't exist.
Later, Duncan and Sir Handel were in the shed at Renee's station when Mr. Percival came with bad news. The rail bridge at Crow's Nigh Inn collapsed and is blocking the line. There is quite a lot of damage, so it will take until tomorrow morning to clear it. In other words, I'm afraid I'll have to spend the night here. Are you f***ing kidding me? Damn it! Oh well, at least we have a shed. I don't agree with the language, but yes, you do have a shed. Consider yourself lucky. Others are stuck at Lakeside or the quarry, and the facilities there are not as luxurious. Arrgh. Well, I guess we're stuck. And they were. That evening, the fog came back. Duncan was trying to sleep, but Sir Handel was nervous. The eyes aren't real, are they? That's for you to decide, my dear boy. But shut up! I'm trying to doze off! There's no eyes. It's only a story. Or is it? Yes, the devil engine is a-comin'. His eyes will... What was that? What? I've never heard that whistle before. Whistle? What whistle? Didn't you hear it? I didn't hear any whistle. Duncan, where are you going? Duncan puffed out into the foggy abyss to see what was going on. What happened next, no one knows to this day. No! Duncan! What happened? Where are you going? Run for your life! It's the eyes! The eyes! What eyes? You look like you've had a stroke, Duncan. The eyes of the engine from my ghost story.
Then how could it be true?
I didn't see them, but I ran just in case. Duncan was too disturbed to respond. He didn't speak until he reached the safety of his shed. I don't know what happened.
I do. You had a hallucination, Duncan. You were scared the whole time that your mind played tricks on you.
Duke's exactly right. When we're frightened or paranoid, we see things in our mind that aren't really there.
So, there are no eyes?
Of course not, Duncan. It was all in your mind.
No, it wasn't in my head. I saw them.
Scared of your own story, Duncan. That is funny.
Duncan almost said something, but grunted off and hurried to do his work.
And we all know what happens when Duncan gets spooked.
I kinda knew it was fake. An engine with an unknown name, suffering a terrible fate. He got all that from when I told him about that engine on the old iron bridge.
About that old iron bridge engine, Rusty, you do know that did actually happen, don't you?
Why, yes. You and Rheneas told me.
Well, we didn't know the engine's name. In fact, we hardly ever saw it.
Really?
Yes, Sir Handel.
What point are you trying to make?
The point is, that engine was a huge mystery. In fact, we don't know what happened after he fell off the bridge. I mean, he can't have simply disappeared from existence. There must be a reason why he was never found again.